Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Genshin Impact. Our goth waifu is right around the corner, maybe. Oh god. Okay, So, quick little update. Look at this. We have 8,000, a little bit more than that, almost 10,000 Primo Gems. Reason why is because we also have some leftovers from Hutao and all that, which I can see by going to the shop. And there, yeah, see, I have 700 of this. Not a lot, but something. All right. So here's my game plan, and this is what we're going to kind of be doing. By the way, yes, we'll be showcasing all of the characters today. Hutao, Barbara, and, well, probably not Barbara, because they probably didn't throw her into the training arena. But, yes, we're going to be showcasing all the new characters and stuff like that. But my plan is to devote half of my Primo Gems to Rosaria. If I don't get one of her, then your boy's not getting Goth Waifu. Feels real bad, is what it is. Okay? The reason why, and we're in slight, well, I'm not going to go for the new characters that I'm not going to spoil, but there is a weapon and there's some artifacts to come that are very, very, very much in line with Razor, buffing up maybe physical damage. So, my favorite character in the game is Razor, bar none. So I want to make sure my main wolf boy can be the best he possibly can. So I want to keep some Primo Gems for him for that. But yes, and this is another thing that I would highly suggest is do not freak out if you don't get Rosaria, because after the banner goes away, she will most likely be added into this banner right here, which is also why I'm saving 20 or 30, give or take, wishes, so that when she is there, I can wish again and hopefully get some more of her. Now, yes, there's a huge pool of things here, so that's a little rough, but don't put her back into the loot pool or the rotation again at a later date, so no worries there. But the EU servers did get access to Rosaria right at the cuff, and they've been saying nothing but great things. Who can we actually play with? Of course, they threw away Barbara. They know fucking nobody wants Barbara. They're like, they just put that in there as a bait, as a cruel, twisted bait. But ladies and gentlemen, let's start with Rosaria, because that's what we care about. Honestly, yes, Child is an amazing DPS, and with my luck the way it is, which is actually kind of in the middle, it's fine, it's okay, it's nothing crazy, but yes, I might get Child, who I have no interest in getting. We'll see. Ugh. I digress. Now, I don't even need to read that. All right, because I knew about Rosaria beforehand because of things. Okay, but God, she looks so great. She looks so great. Why did so many men in the world have a person that they knew in high school that went through a goth phase, and they were just the most beautiful, immaculate person ever? Anyways, also, they were also really cool, really into rock music and shit. Maybe I'm thinking of punk. I don't know. Regardless. Let us see what they did to our girl, which I already know. Okay, so they gave you this, which is a physical damage weapon. Now, I will say this right at the cuff. Rosaria can be played in one of two ways. She can be a DPS support, which is incredibly valuable, and probably there's a great incentive to running her with Noblesse Oblige, or, of course, the Cryo set. Mahoyo is very much trying to show us that Rosaria can be played in an attack, physical damage kind of build. Now, yes, this is true, but be careful where you tread, I'll say. The reason why is because we don't know when, but we do know it's made and in the game, so they just have to flip the switch on. So hopefully 1.5 will get something, which is basically, this is small spoilers, very small, please, but there might be an artifact set coming out that massively scales with physical damage, kind of like the Bloodstained set, except its 4-piece is every single time you activate your E, you build like 20% physical, or however much physical damage bonus. So you just have a stupidly high physical damage bonus. So I would say be careful, because the artifact they have her running with is the Bloodstained set. And you might be like, Bloodstained or Gladiator will probably work really well. But with that physical artifact set coming out maybe later down the line, just be careful and make sure you don't waste a shit ton of artifact XP on this. I mean, it's not that bad. You're only losing on a couple levels. I digress. As of weapons, I've been hearing a lot of things, especially from the EU servers. I've been hearing people say that, well, it's weird, because if you want to run her support, it seems like you want to get as much crit as you possibly can, but there's 1,000 ways to kind of do that. Also, people are saying that the 5-star weapons, Hutao's weapon is kind of okay, but not incredible, unless you really try to make it work with her HP and you kind of get around it like that, sure. But a crit staff, or surprisingly, the Favonius spear or the skyward spear, sorry, the one spear I actually have. Yes, apparently that is pretty top tier, pretty good. Because one thing that Rosaria struggles with, which I already know about, and everyone already kind of put together, but it's the fact that she has a very, very slow attack speed when it comes to her melee. But as they always do, they give her pretty half-assed artifacts. Some okay, nothing crazy, but then they give her a crazy leveled up stats. Which, yeah. Now, yes, she has a pretty decently scaling melee attack. It's okay. It's mostly just because you can have certain artifacts that scale up really well, and it can kind of make it better. But from what I hear, she's basically better than Zhongli with an attack build. Yeah, so she's basically like a very good DPS kind of character, at least when it comes to polearms. Awesome. And now we have this ability, which I'm sure you guys have heard about. Basically, Rosaria teleports behind someone, does a quick slash, and applies a cryo dot to them. Now, if the enemy's big, apparently there's some weird finagly shit that happens. I don't know. But we also have her ult. Her ult is fantastic. She does one giant hit, and then she smashes this giant spear into the ground, and it pulsates with cryo. And I think it's on a perfect timer to reestablish the element constantly. Because there's like an elemental window of you cannot apply an element if an effect has already taken place. There's like a grace period, and then you can apply it again. But I think her ult pulsating is exactly that. Well, first of all, her first talent, so basically her E will increase her crit rate by 12 for 5 seconds. Awesome. Now it's also on a 6-second cooldown, give or take, so you can basically spam this constantly. This, though, is what makes Rosaria a fantastic support and the antidote to a lot of people's kind of weird, shitty artifact luck. At least mine. Hu Tao, man, I just can't get enough crit rate for her. It's rough. Anyways, casting her ult increases crit rates for all nearby members of the party, for all members of your party basically, except Rosaria herself, by 15% of Rosaria's crit rate for 10 seconds. If I'm not mistaken, her ult lasts 15 seconds? Yeah. Oh no, 8 seconds. Yeah, so it lasts the duration of her ult. Or more than duration of her ult, of course. Now, I will say it's a little shitty that it's only 15%. A crit rate bonus gained this way cannot exceed 15%. Yeah, so that's a little unfortunate. But that's all the more reason to get Rosaria as much crit rate as you possibly can. Now, with that being said, I think it's a great rule of thumb. Whenever you're about to use your ult, wait for your E to come back, because that will make your crit rate jump a lot, and that will increase the pool of crit rate that your allies are gaining. I believe it's instant, so as soon as the amount of crit rate Rosaria has, she activates her ult, that will be the percentage constantly given for 10 seconds. I don't think it varies, fluctuates randomly. So there's a sequence of things. Use her E, and then quickly use her ult, and then switch to another character and mess around, which is kind of weird that in the training arena of all things, they don't give us another character to mess around with, because she can kind of be that, but it's very much Mahoya being like, look, she can be a DPS! We gave her a decent amount of crit rate, which is actually really good, because again, when we use her E, we're going to get 12%, just bump it up to 640, great. Anyways, decent amount of crit rates. Energy recharge is actually not as good as it should be. It seems like the one thing that Rosaria is going to need, if you want to play her as a support carry, is going to be energy recharge and of course crit rate, and a cryo bonus, just to give her E or her ult some decent damage, right? Awesome, but they gave her a shit ton of physical damage, which is, yeah, part of the course. They're trying to show you that she can kind of be played in one of two ways: a DPS, and of course well, you can't actually tell she's going to be a good support, but she can be. I've seen gameplay and it looks fantastic. But let's stop talking. Let's get into it. So first of all, she's just doing okay damage, 2,000. Again, a little bit better than Zhongli. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit. If you have like Crescent Pike, or not Crescent Pike, sorry, the Hu Tao's weapon, then yeah, you're gonna be able to just wreck shit. It's crazy. We're going to drop one of these down, boom, and we're going to activate our ult. Oh, I didn't really time that out really well, although there's no enemy or allies to benefit from the proper sequencing of abilities, but whatever. Anyways, we can actually do the charge attacks if you want, but again, it's still only like 2,000, but this is something I wanted to actually show you guys, this, and then this. Okay, so check this out. We're going to keep mailing him, but it seems like it's perfectly timed. Like, as soon as the debuff goes away, it applies another cryo dot. Because, then again, like I said, there's a grace period typically with things like this. With, like, elemental reactions, like, there's a gap in that window. And unless you're constantly outputting that damage, like a caster or something, then it gets a little rough pretty fast. But I want to see a little bit more. Challenge, continue. Yes, do more. Awesome, man. Dude, she looks so good. But I will say this, and I feel it pretty heavily right here. She is quite, her, like, a melee attack is very, very slow. It feels pretty damn slow. And in fact, I kind of just want to see what her crit rate gets. Well, I already know. We already know what her crit rate's going to get to. But yeah, like her ult, man, her ult is nothing to like scoff at. Also, one of the things, like that's right now, that's the one thing that I'm noticing is fantastic, is her ult just seems pretty damn nutty. They don't really have her ult even that built. They just have her talents really leveled up, but her ult's still doing a sizable amount of damage. But if you put a cryo goblet on her rather than a physical goblet, and then you used her kind of as like a cycle to her, use her abilities, and then cycle to another DPS, I think she's going to be a tremendous, and this is why I want her, by the way, is because she slots in perfectly with any team in the future. If you have a DPS, great. She mends well with the two favorite DPSs that I have. Razor for super conduct, of course. Oh shit, we forgot to go into her constellations that are now like guaranteed, because I was worried about getting into them. Although I think I'd made a video a while back and I had to get rid of it because I was worried about leaks. Anyways, but yeah, she works really well with Hu Tao, of course. Everyone's like, Hu Tao, man! She's like yeah, I know, I got it, I know. But Razor, I think she's just gonna be massively huge for him. But one of the things that people are saying is that Hu Tao, if you can get one constellation for her, which is not crazy because she's a 4-star, and it's more a matter of time if you're a consistent player that you're going to get at least 1 or 2 constellations for her. Yeah. So anyways, I digress, but her first constellation is whenever you crit hit, you get 10% attack speed and just increase attack. Nice. That's amazing, and that kind of fixes a problem with Rosaria where she just feels like she's not as fast, and apparently when you get this, she feels like butter. It's just like way better. And also, you're already going to be hopefully aiming for a high crit rate with Rosaria, so you're going to be able to crit almost all the time, keeping this up almost on 100% uptime. But of course, her second one is what I really want as well, because I don't really want to play her as this kind of like DPS thing. I could, and we could build that in the future maybe, but I feel like this is going to be very, very much more of the support angle, which is going to basically increase your ult's window or duration. So you almost have 100% uptime. I believe it's like 3 or 4 seconds of downtime, which is just enough time to switch to other characters like Xingqiu, proc his E, proc his ult, all that kind of stuff, and let things play out like that. Good. All this other stuff is just like bonuses. This is kind of cool. Crit rates have a chance of giving you more particles. Neat. Get your ult back faster. Kind of cool. Especially if you're building her strictly and you just get really unlucky with any sort of recharge. Sure. But this, man, this is one of those things where it's like, man, I wish she was in a banner with a 5-star that I wanted, because I would just go deep. Anyways, yeah, this is perfect for Razor. Whenever you use your ult, anyone in the field gets their physical resistance decreased by 20%. Crazy. Fantastic. Amazing. There's a handful of characters that can lower physical resistance, and if you combine them all together, I bet it would be just insanity incarnate. So, can't wait. But anyways, let's get on to the next character real quick. We're going to make fast work of these other characters because it's, yeah, we kind of seen them before. Child, again, is a fantastic DPS. If you're a free-to-play player and you're like, I just wanted a goth waifu, and I lucked out and got Child. Well, now you have one of the better DPSs in the game, although, man, as much as, like, yes, like... The reason why I'm like, is because the one thing that I feel like I am hearing is that, like, the negative of Child, there's no negative, and I'm like, well, no, you're really forced to not play him anymore. So, like, unlike Hu Tao, who has, like, a couple seconds of downtime, like 4 or 5 seconds, which you can cycle to other characters and use their E's, and by the time you get back, Hu Tao's ult is basically ready, if I were to use it for the full duration. Yeah, then you're going to be in good company. But for Child, if unless I'm mistaken, I believe his E is on a very, very long cooldown. Yeah, way more than Hu Tao's. Let's see. If we use up his full duration. But again, that's not to say that he's not strong. Again, this character is like one of the best DPSs in the game. Yes, and I think they geared him up. they definitely geared him up. Oh my god. Yeah, they finally when Child was first introduced, I was kind of like, I mean, I kind of get it, but they didn't put a water goblet on him, and they absolutely did here. And again, everything. Yeah, he's doing 10,000 damage, and the strength of Child, which maybe it looks a little weird, is that he attacks so he attacks so quickly. I'm sorry, but yes, Child attacks so freaking quickly. And actually, his stance lasts crazy. So right there. So yeah, he's on a 41-second cooldown. So now you'll switch to another character and use him, which is not bad. and this is a great example of like Child actually built, which in the previous demo they didn't actually do. At least a really good job about. But yes, if we go to Child, you can see that they gave him, I'm assuming, a decent crit rate, okay crit rate, really good crit damage, and then let me guess, Water Goblet. A Hydro, yes, a Water Goblet. They gave him a big old Water Goblet, so that's why he's doing pretty good damage. And this kind of shows you like the end tier abilities, especially when they always give their talents. Yeah, level 9 and or level 8. He has a passive talent with which buffs your basic melee by 1, which is kind of fun because you can go beyond the norm. Like I think if you're level 13, you can go to 14, which is abnormal and weird. Because of his special attributes, or his talent right here. It increases your normal attack level by 1 if he's in your party, which is fantastic. Again, for those guys who are utterly lost with what just happened, I forget that some people may be like, who's Child? Who is this water boy? What's happened? Essentially, this character is very odd, but he's very strong, but he's also a little complicated, but you also got to build around him, which is why to me he's good, but he's not like you have to think about how your team's gonna work and etc. And he's one of those characters that is made really simple if you have more consolation for him, but he's a 5-star, but that's not necessary. We just said a lot of things there. Let me just kind of go a little deeper, I guess. So Child, of course, is a bow user, and of course he does decent damage, and he has 2 versions of his ult, one that deals like a generally high AoE damage and etc. But he also has a stance, so when you activate this, he now has water blades and he throws away his bow. He also has things called Riptide, which is basically like a water damage over time effect, which is fantastic and really, really good. And again, constellations, leveling up those talents will make that even better, and that's kind of why he's nuts. And in fact, if you wanted to run this kind of comp where you're freezing enemies constantly, and now we have his, oh I didn't, god damn it. Okay, so right here, I finally have my abilities. We're gonna activate this, and then we're gonna activate his blades, and we're gonna basically freeze the world, and we're gonna add a bunch of melt and etc. Or not melt, sorry, a freeze comp. So we're gonna be wetting the enemies, and we're gonna be freezing them, and we're just gonna be eviscerating them in that way. And it's pretty crazy. But the thing is that I do believe when you switch off, you no longer get access to his stance, so that auto resets. So again, there's just like Child is one of those weird ones who actually has a lot of like tiny nuances that you should be aware of if you're going to be using him. And if you're a free-to-play character, you have a very strong damage dealer, but he's not a simple damage dealer. You know what I mean? Like he requires you to have a decent understanding of, okay, like I can't switch to him because if I do, I'm losing out on this ult. So if you're using him, you're having a good time, you're like, oh wait, I forgot to apply this. You switch back and now it's on cooldown. The good news is if his stance is on like a cooldown of use. So if you use his E for a long period of time, it's gonna have a long cooldown. But if you use it for 2 seconds and switch back, it's gonna have a 7-second cooldown, which is still kind of a lot of cooldown. And it just gets more and more by how much you use it. All in all, Child to me is just like a DPS that is strong, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like my cup of tea. And of course, I believe we have FISCHL here as well. God, my dogs are just laying it on today. Real, like too much. But yes, my friends, we finally have FISCHL, who's I wonder how well they built her. Let's see. Okay, decent crit rate, decent that. What do they give her in terms of abilities? No, wow, okay, no electric, hey? That was a choice. Okay, shit ton of recharge, kinda good. Yeah, they kind of have her built as a support. What kind of artifacts are we rocking? Noblesse Oblige, element stuff, got it. Yeah, they have her built for a support. So anyways, you guys don't know anything about FISCHL. She's a fantastic, fantastic support. We're also just going to spam abilities. That's kind of how this team composition is going to be working. Again, if you have, whenever we do an electric combination, we're actually going to be benefiting from one of the passives that FISCHL actually has, which is really, really good. We're also going to be activating Oz again and doing a decent amount of damage. Yeah, I think they just gave her a decently leveled up gear. But if you guys haven't, if you're really out of the loop with Genshin, FISCHL's been amazing since the beginning. But I will say that people used to say that she's one of the best characters in the game. I think she's really good, but yeah, like we're doing 5,000 damage, which is really, really good, but without a cup. And I do notice that like the new realm of like insane visceral damage tends to be around 30,000. I haven't seen too many FISCHLs be able to peak 30,000. I could be dead ass wrong. I could be missing things, but yes. We're also going to be doing this and this. But yeah, FISCHL almost seems better than like than other characters just then. Like if you're used to using characters in tandem like supports, then FISCHL can just mop the floor with just about everybody. FISCHL's just really, really good. She's a little annoying, and that's why most people didn't level her up. It's because after they introduced her into the story, everyone was like, "I'm done. I'm okay. Yeah, it's okay. I get it." You know. So no, she's fantastic. If you happen to get FISCHL and you get enough constellations for her, that's when she becomes insane. I don't mean to just say that she's not strong. I just remember hearing a lot about her in the beginning of the game, and now I hear a little bit less. That's not to say that she's bad, that's just to say that, yeah. Also, again, if you're lucky enough to get multiple constellations for FISCHL, that can be huge. Again, she becomes like insane the more and more you have her unlocked, but again, she just seems like she's one of those characters that's incredibly easy. Like you literally switch to her, activate her E, then just forget about it. And then you're just gonna be tearing shit up for that whole duration. She has a turret basically, so crazy good. But let us get all of our tasty primo gems, and ladies and gentlemen, let us wish for our girl. And as soon as I get her, I'm backing out. Well, I think I will do the half, give as half of my primo gems. But ladies and gentlemen, I digress. That was all of the characters. That was ROSARIA. Test running her as much as I could. Again, she seems incredibly fun. I do think that like FISCHL, I think that's when shit can get smooth as butter. I feel like when you're playing her melee base, unless you hit her first constellation or have a Skyward Spear that can increase her attack speed, things are gonna get feel a little chunky. Like they're not gonna feel as smooth. But if you're able to get those two things in line, then I feel like you're gonna be perfectly happy with your DPS carry. But I feel like if you don't want to have to do all that, or you already have a decent DPS carry, then characters like Razor, Hu Tao, or anyone else really, because everyone can use Cryo because it's a really useful element, and also just use inherently buffed crit rate. That can be amazing as well. I think that's where she's gonna like come alive and just be. You're gonna see her in every team comp because she just buffs your crit rate. I wish it was higher than 15%. But it's still a nice little bump to get you over the edge. If you're at like 40 or 30, you can get around to 50 or 60, right? And that could put you in nice company, as long as you have her on enough energy recharge. But I digress. That's why I think I'll run her with Skyward Harp. Yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe button's over there to my right. Thank you again, and goodbye. Also, video tomorrow will be us wishing, so hopefully you guys tune in for that. Thank you kindly, and goodbye.